Welcome back to Help the People, the podcast where we talk about life, healing, and the strength it takes to keep going when everything tells you to stop. I'm your host, Shannon Riley. Today's episode is called I Won't Let Them Steal My Soul. Because every day the world would ask you to trade your soul for performance, your peace for productivity, and your purpose for approval. And while we're busy performing, something inside us quietly dies. This episode is about how to remain human in a world that profits from your exhaustion, and how faith carries you through the death of the false self back into what the Creator made you to be. I've been taking 3-mile walks, sometimes twice a day. And what I've learned is if you watch nature long enough, it'll preach to you. For instance, the birds don't force their flight. When the season changes, they go south. Flowers don't debate their bloom. They open when the sun tells them to. The trees don't compare. They grow in silence, deepening their roots. But humans, we break the rhythm. We run in winters meant for rest. We perform in seasons meant for stillness. We chase applause when we should be aligning with purpose. Somewhere along the way, we stop living by divine rhythm and start living by human routine. And that gap between rhythm and routine makes our souls grow tired and weary. The Creator built a flow into everything: breath, tide, and time. And when we step outside of that flow to perform for systems that were never built for our wholeness, we start to lose ourselves. That's how the soul starts dying. Not with a gunshot, but with a slow surrender to noise and distraction. And that includes the systems we call sacred. The church, once a place of rhythm and rest, has hardened into concrete. The same walls meant to echo prayer now echo performance. Somewhere between worship and branding, between prophecy and programs, we start mistaking concrete for connection. But concrete doesn't move with the seasons. It doesn't breathe. It doesn't bend. Nature listens. Concrete can only resist. And when the church stopped listening to creation, it started losing touch with the Creator. If the birds can follow God's call to warmer places, why can't we follow His Spirit beyond walls? If flowers can open when light touches them, why can't we open when truth does? If trees can bow in the wind and still remain rooted, why can't the church bend without breaking? Nature reminded me that God's rhythm never needed microphones, LED lights, and marbled floors. His temple was and always will remain the earth, alive, breathing, and in motion. But concrete faith, the kind that worships comfort, clout, and control, suffocates the very spirit it claims to protect. And that's why I take those long walks, because nature still reminds me the rhythm the church forgot. And again, performance is the thief, right? Performance, it steals your presence, your intentionality, and replaces it with pretense. And I've worn the mask. I've smiled in rooms where my spirit was screaming. I've spoken with confidence while my soul hid in the corner, cowering. I've been the strong one, the leader, the director, yet inside I was disappearing. That's the death of identity. When you start mistaking applause for purpose, when you confuse visibility for value. The truth is, the world doesn't need to kill you to steal your soul. It just has to convince you to play your part in the process. But here's what I've learned: faith is rebellion against performance. It's the quiet refusal to sell your spirit for acceptance. It's saying, it's declaring, I won't let them steal my soul, because your soul belongs to the Creator, not the company, not the crowd, not the chaos of the moment, or the many distractions that life throws at you, and not the church that forgot to listen. The birds don't question flight. The rivers don't perform for the sea. Only we, humans, forgot their rhythm, chasing applause from wind while losing the breath that gave us life. The church built walls to contain worship, yet the spirit still moves through the trees. Here's what I've learned: the death of identity, it doesn't look like a funeral. It looks like your reflection. It looks like waking up one day and realizing, I don't recognize the person in the mirror. The titles are still there, the clothes are still pressed, the smile is practiced, but the light behind the eyes is gone. That's death of identity. When the roles you've been playing finally collapse. And again, as mentioned in a prior podcast, for me it happened when God stripped everything I used to define myself by: the career, the comfort, the control. The Creator took the mask that I had built and shattered it. And again, not to hurt me, but to heal me. Because before the Creator can resurrect the real you, he has to bury the version that was built for survival. And I'll be honest, that that burial hurts. It felt like failure. It felt like shame. It felt like you're losing everything. But faith whispered, this is not death. This is planting. The Bible says in John 12:24, unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it produces much fruit. What looks like death to the world is actually transformation to the Creator. When that false self dies, the soul breathes again. You remember your rhythm, the divine timing that age and performance had long buried. You begin to notice God's patterns again. How every loss led to strength, how every still moment taught patience, and how even pain had purpose. Even junk has purpose. Faith teaches you that your real identity was never your title or your trauma. It was the essence you were born with. You are not what you did or who you were. You are what God breathed. And that breath, that divine rhythm, is how you come back into alignment. Because when you are aligned, you stop performing. You start becoming. You stop chasing applause and validation. You bloom. You start chasing and following a path of peace. And trust me, you'll follow that wherever that may lead you, even outside the walls. So here's my challenge this week. Take inventory of the roles you've been playing. Ask yourself, which of these are rooted in faith and which are just performance? Then choose to let one or more die. It might be the stronger one role. It might be the pleaser. It might be the voice that says, I have to prove my worth. Let it die. Because God can't resurrect what you keep pretending to be. And when that false self falls away, don't be afraid of the silence that follows. That's your resurrection breathing in. That's your soul realigning with the Creator's rhythm. If this spoke to you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And leave a comment. Leave a comment to let me know what identity the Creator is helping you release. This is Shannon Riley reminding you that kindness knows no enemy. And until the next time, family, remember to help the people.